What's up, guys? It's Coach Chamberlain here with the Coaching 101 podcast. We are live from the Kentucky Athletic Administration Association. I'm here with Mark Bridges. Mark Bridges is with Ace Sports. You can't see this giant board behind me, but it is a 10 by 20 travel scoreboard. You would not travel with this, I assure you. This is just a demo version. It is massive. It is beautiful. That's what we're doing here this weekend is we're trying to sell scoreboards, video boards, whatever you want to call them, to the coaches of Kentucky. Mark, go ahead, man. Tell us about them.
Hey, we're especially excited about the podcast and what you guys are doing nationally through the Gun Tee, Wing Tee movement. I remember back in the Malzahn days where I'm like, yes, sir. And I just didn't know it would take that many tentacles and offenses that just now I can't even keep up anymore, And so just to be a sponsor, to be a part and to just bless what you guys are doing, man, we're going to continue to do that and over, years to come. And so first of all, thank you for what you're doing. And then I'm just glad we're here. We are branding nationally, opening branches up across the country. And part of that is just through our business model. We wanted people to see a bigger vision and say, hey, can I get a video board? Now, how do I pay for it? That's the biggest question, right? How do I pay for this thing that we're seeing pop up literally everywhere in Texas and these states that are 2A, 3A schools are now. We even have 1A schools that have contacted us. And that is not the norm, or has been in the past. So we just wanted to create a business model to help generate revenue through ad dollars, sponsor dollars, donor dollars. Anyway, we can pull revenue back in so that they can offset those costs and get a video board, school board for football or basketball or any sport. And now we're here in Kentucky 10, 11 years later going, we're going to brand this all over the country. So
it's been really neat to get to work with you guys and watch it. I mean, I've just been around 3-4 years since I first ran into you at the Gun Tee clinic in Batesville or Southside. But yeah, man, it's really neat what you guys are doing. I call it the cheat code, and all the ads, I call it the cheat code to fundraising.
I like it.
And people who have used it understand that. They know that it is the cheat code to fundraising. Big ticket items is what, we kind of push. Like, it is a big ticket thing, but it helps from over years and years and years get the other things that programs need.
You bet.
Really glad this year we've got to push the, no school's too small. That's what everyone says, right? Well, my school can't afford that.
And I hear that. I hear everything. There's a rebuttal to everything that a coach would throw at me of why we can't get that ear. I mean, we used to hear that back at the big schools. And so it would kind of let me give you an analogy. It's like years ago, an architect wants to build a 9,000 square foot home for you. And turf's not a problem. Bleachers and everything else indoor now, those are $1 million ticket items, and they figure out ways to make this happen. Well, in our world, we'd get the half bath. You're building a 9,000 square foot home with a half bath? No. Quit scaling us down. Quit getting a little boy school board, maybe a square above a traditional school board that we've seen grow in a lot of high schools. And we just said, no. How do we take a time out, brand the Texas mindset in every state in America? How do we do that? How do we take the big boards and put them in Kentucky and Iowa, and the list goes on? And we realized we needed a revenue stream, a revenue platform. And really our number one hurdle to overcome on a podcast like this is when a coach hears it, they're like, well, I need to get my soup on board or my AD, and there's a freaking chasm in there, a gap, like the Grand Canyon, and it just seems to not take root sometimes after we talk with that coach or after we hear and their vision. And it just, how do we bridge that gap is the biggest question that I'm asking for these coaches to help us get them in front of their AD and their superintendent or a board member or a booster club, because until they hear it and becomes their idea, maybe, how this is, their vision. I mean, they're hearing him go back, and I've got an assistant coach here and a head football coach here at a 2A school in Alabama who's on fire to get a new video board, and it just hits a wall. It hits another wall, and it hits another wall. So we're asking these coaches that listen into this podcast, help us bridge that gap. The quicker you get us on a video call or in front of your school board or with that superintendent, the money people who make those decisions, you'll get this. I mean, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. They just don't understand how this can pay for itself. And I remember when I first started this, we had a board member that was cynical. It went from a $60,000 wall application in an arena to 1.2 million, and they threw in a football board with that dollar amount. I was like, what are you talking about? We're going to raise money, I'll set the hardware, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yes. He says, well, let's go all in, chips on the table. And I didn't think we were going to get into that. It's kind of like I'm snorkeling, and then all of a sudden we're scuba diving. I'm learning how to equalize and that as we go. But hey, if they breathe in that community, we were asking them to give money back to the video. And here's what that board member said to me after they approved the project. He said, we're live. We're live in a board meeting with about 100 people, and he looks down at the board, the rest of the 6 of them, and said, we have never invested in anything in our school district, and I've been on this board for 19 years, that has brought revenue back to our district the way this video board campaign, and we weren't even under contract. I was scared to death. I was like, I can't believe we're out doing this. And they approved it, 1.2 million. We contracted the rest of the sound and the lighting, but in that package was a massive Dallas Mavericks style video board for that arena of $16 million, and they were going to get a regular school board. Are you kidding me? And then football got a $330,000 video board that we had an architect design a cavity to oversee the football stadium out of the arena. I mean, it was like, let's go gamble and see what happens. And we hit the jackpot, right off the bat. And now that business model has literally transpired in many other states and many other schools so that they can buy into that vision.
Yeah, I like seeing that each sport has its own thing, right? You talk about the video board for the arenas. If you've got basketball, if you're trying to put up a new basketball gym, and they got scores tables, banners, all sorts of stuff, right? And all at a reasonable price, a price that you can make up. I love using Coach Kenny Simpson, of course, the other the co-host of the podcast, because now the numbers I may not have exact, but they were something like $700,000 in the black, right, after 7 years. So you're talking $100,000 in the black a year off of a stinking video board. So now the numbers there could be up or down a little bit, but
no, that's very close. He's been in 2 different venues where he has seen over $1.3 million come back to 2 separate high schools. And so who do you think we're going to get to call as a reference? We're going to get him to call Kenny. Kenny's not only done it once, he's done it twice, and he's using revenue that has already paid for his video board for football to raise money for an indoor. And I think that's where people don't look at the bigger vision. That's where it's hard enough to get it, but once you get it, now how long is it going to take and what's all the stipulations here? No, it's not like that. Over time, it's going to pay for itself. How long is the ROI? How long will it take to get it paid for? Not if it's going to be paid for. Right. And I think once we saw that, now we've had more and more ADs and coaches, and I've got principals now, booster club people calling us, going, "Hey, what are you guys doing? How do you raise that kind of money?"
Right.
And here's how. Here's how. We saw something that high schools were doing across the country. They were leaving money on the table everywhere. And I know a coach is listening right now. They don't know my backyard. They don't know my area. We don't have any money. Man, that story goes on and on and on. And we just wanted to say, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Now, we're not promising you 100% of the dollar amount right off the bat or within a 1 or 2 month period. We're having you look over the long haul. Here's the data, 88 to 92% of every campaign we've been a part of, that's a big number, they have gotten into the black on verbal agreements in year 1. Doesn't mean it's paid in full. That doesn't mean we came in 1 week, we raised $1 million. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about raw data we did not have at first to just try to cast that vision, because nobody does it at the high school level. Right. You would expect them to do it at University of Alabama or Arkansas or places like that, or A&M. I mean, hello. But at the high school level, we saw something that, hey, money's being left on the table. Let's bring it back in. Let's rob Peter to pay Paul, maybe. And then once we've got that revenue taken care of to pay for the board over a 3, 4, 5 year period, what happens in year 6 through 10, year 11 through 15? Well, now you just give your ad dollar, your sponsors, all that a discount, to keep going on that revenue stream. And that's what we did not see at first.
So there are plenty of imitators of the Ace Sports idea, right?
Of course.
And I bet there's some here, and I don't want to call them they're competition. That's what they are, right?
Yeah.
They're out to do theirs. I have heard horror stories. I've heard, we get a percentage of it over so many years. We're going to cover the cost up front. I'm going to throw you a softball here because I know how much are you guys taking? Like, I mean, over years? None, right? Like, there's no more that goes back to you once it's paid for.
None. Matter of fact, we don't even charge you extra to do it. It's a supplemental service that we say, hey, listen, let's look at the Ferrari, land on the Mercedes. If you feel like you're in the 1A, 2A, let's look at the Mercedes and land on, maybe a high-end Camry. Let's not start with the freaking Ford Fusion or Corolla or Pinto. And if you drive that, by the way, Coach, hang in there, your day's coming, okay? No, but in all seriousness, that's what used to happen, is we would just, hey, we want a video board. It's kind of like going to Walmart when they bring in the local fair, every year, and it's a big deal as a kid, and you really haven't been to Six Flags or King's Dominion or Disney World, and we had to bridge that gap. It was like, guys, listen, this can be done. Now, it's going to be hard. It's going to take some time. You got to take some buy-in. The biggest problem is buying in. Is a superintendent or a school board, and why are we going to spend $300,000 for a football board? Well, do you know the overall vision of how you're going to build revenue? And we're going to help you establish a CTE program through radio, television, and broadcasting, and AV tech and film. Now you've got parents who are like, well, this is academic. Right. Now we're going to marry and merge athletics and academics and help them build ESPN style production. You can't do any of that if you don't have live video. I don't care what you're streaming out. Nobody cares about the streaming world like they used to. That's just kind of just ordinary, and that's a good thing if you're doing it. But man, I remember in COVID, I had Texas superintendent said, screw the streaming. Let's put butts in the stands. Let's enhance the production. Let's get people to the game, not staying at home like the whole culture's doing now, not going to the movies like they used to. And you don't want to do that. That'll hurt your football program. You want revenue at the gate. We can help you with revenue at the gate. The more you enhance that, the more those Jennies and Johnnies who could give 2 cents about your freaking football program, now I'm going to have grandpa and grandma come because they're running a camera, or they're working in a production, or they're in a trailer, they're in a press box, or whatever it may be. And now you're starting to see revenue grow off of your production. And I'm telling you, we can take you to 3 and 4A schools that are running circles around some of the 6 and 7A that don't do anything. So,
well, guys, you heard it here first with Mark. Listen, we're going to be here all day tomorrow. The first podcast should go live about 9. If you're watching one of my channels right now, that's where it's going to be. We're not going to change it up, do anything crazy. Share it out to your coaches that need help. If they need a video board just to celebrate kids, there's a smaller package, right? If it's a big school, but they're just lacking in that game day environment, that atmosphere, video boards is the way to do that. And it doesn't matter what sport, soccer, football, basketball, baseball, we've got them all. We can cover them all with Ace Sports. Mark, appreciate you joining me real quick. And like I said, we'll be all day tomorrow. We've got 6 to 8 coaches coming on. The number will be more concrete in the morning. We hope to hear from or see you guys jumping in and listen to the podcast. If you don't catch them live, we'll be shooting all these out during the weeks, the next 6 to 8 weeks. How many episodes we get? So appreciate you guys. Coach Chamberlain from Kentucky.